So, hello everybody. Welcome again to another episode of the Quarantine Chronicles. Today we have a very special guest, a very close partner and friend of ours, joining us all the way from the Netherlands. Hello, Capucine. How's everything going?
Hi, Santiago. Everything is fine here in Delft, and even we have quite a lot of sun these days. So for the Netherlands, it's perfect.
I'm glad that at least you get some nice weather in this quarantine. Have you had a strict confinement? Has it been very relaxed? How is the reopening again?
It was not a fully strict quarantine. We could every day go out and go cycling, which is the most important thing, in the Netherlands, to be able to have the right to cycle, going for some rides. And now progressively it's reopening. We can discuss it maybe also later. The universities are progressively reopening.
Well, I'm glad to know that you had a healthy balance between mental health and confinement. Before we begin our conversation, I want to briefly introduce our relationship with Capucine and with IHE Delft, a partnership with UNESCO. In CA, we work in a lot of European R&D projects financed by the European Commission. We work in many projects with IHE Delft. I believe there's 3 or 4. And also Capucine was a guest speaker at our Green Transformation Program. We were very blessed to have Capucine in January. We hosted her and she gave a very nice module to our students. So we're very close to Capucine. We know her very well in 3 or 4 projects. And now I'm going to say a little bit about the structure of our conversation. We're going to begin with Capucine and her role at IHE, her introduction, a little bit about her background, also what IHE Delft is doing in terms of the efforts of what they focus on, a little bit about the main focus of these Quarantine Chronicles, which are the effects of COVID-19, and always we like to end with some sort of message to the audience. So without further ado, Capucine, if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself, your role at IHE, and your background in general.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So maybe just also as the audience, as you told me, is quite young professionals, maybe it's useful to talk a bit about how I came to IHE, and maybe just telling that, well, I did an engineering school, the name in France, it's specific to France, and it was Polytechnic Institute of Grenoble, and then I got a master's degree in energy engineering. And then, okay, I started by making an internship in the Atomic Energy and Alternative Energy Commission in a new activity that was on biomass. And then, okay, I fall in love with the topic and I decided to continue with a master thesis, then the PhD on the same topic, the same lab that has just started. And then at the end of the PhD, I got a permanent position there in CEA. And then I continued during 10 years to start and to continue working in this lab to see it growing. And okay, I became quite an expert in this field of thermal conversion of biomass. I'm telling this just to tell also maybe a message to the people is that when I started doing this internship in CEA, afterward, I wanted to continue on this topic. And I must say, my teachers and many people told me, you shouldn't continue because it's a new topic. And it's also, you have done your internship, you should explore something else. But okay, I found this was what I enjoy. I wanted to continue and I was happy with this being a bit pushy, and wanted to continue on this specific. This said, well, afterwards, I continued doing so many years working in CA in this lab. And after a while, I realized that really teaching was also one component that was a bit missing for me. And I decided, okay, to give more space to teaching, also in a more international environment. And I decided to join for this reason 2 years ago now, IHE Delft. The full name, I think you put it at the beginning, is IHE Delft in partnership with UNESCO. So maybe I can just give a few words about IHE, or you want me to give it? Yeah. At IHE, and maybe this relates to my work at the moment. At IHE, we have three main missions. One is to teach to young and mid-career professionals, also to do research, to increase expand the knowledge base, and also to develop the capacity building aspects. This for the water sector and the environment related, and this with a focus for developing countries, the reason for our partnership with UNESCO. So in my specific case, I'm not an expert in water itself, but on solid waste, on biomass, which is of course related also to water. If you pollute with the waste, the water, you will have big problems. So this is mostly my activity at IHE is working on solid waste, teaching, research, and also capacity building.
That's great to hear. A very nice introduction. Before we jump in and learn more about what IHE does and the efforts that they're doing, I want to know how is the difference between your time at CEA and at IHE Delft, the personal experience that you had to teaching. Is it more satisfying now? Did you like to do a little more about the research area? Do you like to have the balance of both? Right now in your position, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, clearly for me, I wanted to get this balance, and now I think I can manage to have the two aspects, and also this third aspect, which I didn't know, I must say, when I arrived. This aspect more on capacity building, you know, the work more developing the capacity of organization and so on. I went at the beginning of the year in Senegal. We were developing we were working with a technical organization there in a region of Senegal to develop their capacity in solid waste management. And this thing I hadn't even imagined before arriving to IHE Delft. And this is really something, even a third component, you know, that I like. And I must say also, personally speaking, I mean, this experience at IHE, we are around 200 staff members and 30 nationalities. So you can imagine that it's really an international atmosphere, and this is of course a great experience.
Oh, that must be very fulfilling to work in an environment that is not only diverse but also works with developing countries and something that you're so passionate about, no?
Yeah.
I think we can move into more specific and profound roles of what IHE does in particular. They are mainly a water institute, but your role in particular is more waste related. Can you tell us a little bit more about IHE efforts in general?
Yes, sure. So as I was telling, and this is a question I have often, indeed, like IHE Delft, the name is even IHE Delft Institute for Water Education. So definitely we see from the beginning the link between the solid waste and the pollution of water. So there is a clear link. And what you have nicely shown here is in this slide summarizes my teaching and also my research activities at IHE, that we try to cover the different aspects and to raise awareness for the young professional and for the professionals in general on the solid waste management, the different steps, like from generation to final use, disposal, the different options, the conversion treatments, we can come to it later. And this, taking into account, of course, the technical aspect. I'm an engineer, so working more on this technical aspect, but also the environmental aspect, economic, social impact, and the innovative solution. And for this, we try also to explain to the people this 4R approach, this pyramid. I don't know, Santiago, if you know 4R, if you can define me the 4R. This is what I ask to students usually.
I remember that you mentioned it during the GTP, but I am shy to say that I don't know the specific terminology
Okay.
everywhere.
No, the 4R, maybe I didn't put, okay, the pyramid is not there, but the idea is that the best option is always to reduce the waste, no waste, then to reuse the waste, and then recycle, recover, and really the final one is that you put it to the landfill or open dumping, which is unfortunately what happens most of the time in many countries still at the moment.
Okay.
And this is with this approach that we try to really raise awareness for people and explain them how to deal with this and to propose innovative solutions. And these innovative solutions, they are part of the link between teaching, capacity building, and research. And in my case, I'm more specifically focused on the production of biochar. What is it? Maybe a few words, just telling that we start with whatever kind of waste, provided you have some carbon in it. And this waste, we convert it through pyrolysis, hydrothermal carbonization, into a solid that is similar. I think you have made a barbecue at your place with charcoal, and this is quite similar. I think everybody has made this. So this is more or less the same, but we try to optimize it for different applications. We use it, you can use it for solid fuel, and we work with Africa. I work a lot with Africa to try to substitute the wood that leads to deforestation by biochars produced with waste to produce or to use it as a fuel. But also we can use it as adsorbent for the pollutant of water, and you see the link with water. We can also use it as a soil amendment to increase the production of the crops. So it's of course good to solve the food problem. And also additive in the digesters to increase the production of biogas. And also, maybe I haven't taken it here, but also we can now put the biochar in our cell phone, because we work on the use of the biochar as an electrode for the lithium-ion battery. So this is the kind of innovative solutions we are working on from waste to turn it into a resource. And for this, we try really to focus on how to use different kinds of waste. I can use plastic, we use straw, we use a lot of food waste, a lot of different waste, and then manage to produce one biochar that is tailored for the application. This is my main topic of research and activity.
Wow, these are in fact very intriguing and very interesting innovative technologies. You say, and you mentioned that you worked with developing countries such as Africa and I think you said Senegal in particular. These countries that are, let's say, not as mature as Europe in terms of technologies, what are the main challenges that you face when you go into these countries? Is it awareness of the subject itself? Is it a lack of education, or what are some challenges?
I think for me was the first time I went there, especially I can give just a brief example. When I went to Senegal the first time, okay, I was in Dakar, the capital, so it was a bit less major, but was quite similar. I must say that when I went to the region of Kolda in the southeast of Senegal, was a shock for me because I was going to teach waste management, and I had prepared all my, all my training. And then I realized that the main issue was that there was no collection of waste.
Yeah.
I was going to explain what to do with the waste when they are collected, but the problem was there was no collection. So it was indeed a different level, and we had to think about this and see, where to start. And indeed, this question of raising awareness, and people didn't realize that what they were doing was just burning the waste in front of their home, and that there were some pollution, air pollution. A lot of children now have asthma because of this, and no one really knew. And all these basic things were the basis to explain first.
Yeah,
So
in
this
fact,
was for me, yeah, something not planned.
yeah, in fact, that's very challenging and something that I identify with. Coming from Mexico, these countries that are so large in population and that they don't have a structural system that in place like European countries in terms of collection, it's sometimes hard to identify where to begin with or where to start with the problem. But I guess it's one of the many challenges that you experience.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. And we could notice this problem of where to start for sure with the collection. But indeed, who is going to implement it really? And also one challenge that we can face is that um, when we make the training, everyone looks and is, I think, very motivated, but is how to keep, even especially when we are far away, to keep afterwards the effort and to manage to work on this and to make it happen well. And this is quite challenging. I think an important thing which I saw is that a lot of solutions come from Europe or the US, but you know, they are directly imported, like for a project or whatever, and people don't really feel they are their own solutions, and
Yeah.
then it doesn't continue.
Yeah, I completely agree. And talking about challenges, the main challenge that we're living right now, global pandemic, COVID-19, has led to many different types of internal problems within the different types of industries. Here, we can experience challenges not only in terms of education, which is IHE, but also within the solutions that you guys offer. Can you talk a little bit more about the COVID effects, both positive and negative, that you're facing right now in this current situation?
Hey, yeah, for sure. I mean, I can talk more as an educational institute. Okay, if we have young professionals or still students, they have experienced it. And yeah, from the very beginning was, of course, to switch. And some people, I think there was an article talking about the difference between an online teaching, really, and this emergency remote teaching that we implemented. We had to change from one day to another, and this is, I think, of course, quite challenging for the lecturers, for the professors, but also, of course, for the students. And especially in our case at IHE, we have no Dutch students. So I mean, all our students are far away from their countries,
Yeah.
and like everyone, they don't know when they will come back. We have students that have graduated online, no ceremony, of course, but they have graduated in April and they are waiting since then. And they don't know when they will come back. And of course, for them, it's quite challenging. And also for me and my students at the moment that are doing their MSc thesis, I'm doing more experimental research in the lab. All my students had planned to work in the lab. And of course, the lab is closed or semi-closed, light closed. So they had to wait, and me as well, and try to find solutions. So they have made a lot of literature review and so on, but it's, I mean, clearly a negative effect and quite difficult to cope with.
Yeah.
We are happy that normally next week things are starting to open again, the lab. Then, okay, you told about positive effects. I would say maybe the positive effect would be that, okay, at the beginning and now every country is closed, but maybe it helped people to realize how solution must be global actually and to be sustainable. I mean, Europe, in the case, Europe was impacted by what happened in China, and every continent is impacted. We are, maybe people realize now more thanks to this, how all is connected, and we cannot find a solution just for a country or just for a continent. And all is impacted by the others. And I hope that in the future it will be even more the case that we don't look for solutions specific to a country or a continent. I hope so.
No, no, definitely. I think this is a great wake-up call in a global manner, and that the COVID-19 is a current problem, but there's a bigger problem ahead of us, which is in terms of climate change and global warming. But um, I think that this has helped us a lot to realize that we can mobilize as a one team. We're all humans, and we can see that in the repercussions of racism right now. The whole situation with the United States, how well, unfortunately, the death of George Floyd had to, or at least incentivize for everybody to go to the streets, protest, and you could see uh, the whole sharing of and empowerment in all the different countries. So maybe we can take that lead into environment and sustainability. But
Definitely.
we'll see how it unfolds in the next couple of months and years, and see how everything uh, unfolds itself.
And maybe related to this, I don't know if it's part of a positive, negative effect or whatever, but one thing I wanted to mention, that's still as we are talking about this COVID effect, COVID impact, one thing I think important is that from the very beginning, all of us were told, okay, now wash your hands, this is really the priority. And working in an institute dealing with water, actually you realize that for many people in Africa, this simple advice, wash your hand with clean water, is not something doable because you don't have clean water access. And I hope that also this may be something to remember.
Have more conscious or have more self-responsibility of the use of water and the
exactly. And simple things for us, like of course we should clean our hands, and not so easy for many people in the world at the moment.
Yeah, completely. Well, I think that's a nice transition. Now that we're talking about being aware and conscious, we like to end all of our conversations with a nice message to the audience. A few takeaways. Um, what are the three most important points that you would like to address to these students and young professionals that are currently graduating or experiencing their first years of professionalism?
I would have again a question for you. Why different sizes? Am I supposed to classify the takeaway messages?
That's just aesthetics. That's just aesthetics.
Okay, so I can go just.
No.
Okay, there is not a podium or a classification.
No.
Okay.
No.
No, just maybe we can go, let's say, from the thing that we told the last one, maybe one key message, this thing of thinking globally to be sustainable, in the sense that not one solution for one country, and we cannot close Europe and make it very nice, but I hope that it will continue also, this work of development, like Europe contributing to the development also of Africa, other developing countries, etc. I think it's very important to imagine, to think globally. I think this is one key point. If we go back to what we said about the research, the teaching activities, in my case, I'm working, and even more now that I'm at IHE, I'm working really at the interface of with people from different disciplines. I'm a chemical engineer more, but I work with people from very different culture, I must say, different disciplines, from agronomy, from hydraulic engineering, from economic assessment, different types of different disciplines. And I think this is something, if you make the effort to listen to the people and to try to learn their language also, because each of us is talking a different language, it's a bit challenging. It's a bit, you go outside of your comfort zone. You are not talking only with your people from your community, but then based on this, you get really good results. And I think in projects, this kind of multidisciplinarity, I think this is really something important, and to solve the issue that we face, I think this is really a key aspect, this multidisciplinarity. I think this is something I could notice in my research. The third one, so the smallest one on this, but maybe related to my background, I would say for, as we are talking to people that are just starting their career, okay, I don't feel so old, but I have now, maybe I started at the beginning of the year 2000. So just telling that, of course, the priority when you have a job is to bring food to your home. So this is one thing, but when this is a shift, I would say, I don't know if it's, you know, a lot of people are telling, yeah, if in 10 years I want to get this position, then I must do that, that, and that. I don't really agree. I think that the first and the main point is to make, try to do what you enjoy now, and then you will see. Until now, this is what I have done. I have tried really to always be guided by what I enjoy, what I really want to do at the moment. And until now, it hasn't been too, too bad, the result. So I would say this is, yeah, my third key message.
Very nice. I think that those are all great advices. So to summarize, in 3 points is think globally,
Yeah,
listen carefully to others, and
yeah,
follow what you enjoy most. I think that's very
exactly.
well put. And I
Excellent
think that
summary.
that ends our conversation very well. I would like to thank you for your time and for sharing your knowledge, experience, and your recommendations to me and to all this audience. So thank you again, Capucine, and hope the confinement is not for so long. Hope to see you again soon
Yeah, hope to see you again soon as well in Madrid.
in Madrid in the summer. Take care.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Bye.
Bye.